The dream is over. It's actually been over for a long time. Medellin Colombia is no longer the passport bro paradise. You guys have all been sold a lie about Medellin Colombia. Gringos are no longer wanted there. You see it all over. There's like Colombia diaries and all these different things on TikTok and Instagram reels. It's always Medellin, Medellin, Medellin. Passport bros don't seem to be aware that there's other places to go. They think it's like West Virginia or wherever they're from, or Medellin. They're not aware that there's other cities in Colombia or other countries entirely. This is the sad truth. This is the dark side, the dark reality of dating in Medellin in 2025 and beyond. Like I said, the dream is over. So in this video, we're going to cover a lot of things. So we're going to talk about why people end up there. I kind of alluded to it. Medellin has good marketing, but these people are, I want to say like they're taking advantage of you, but they are selling you a dream, okay? And you just need to be aware. It's a lot of like naive people that go to Medellin and just outright sex tourists who want to go there for that. And look, if that's you, no shade, but if you're looking for a wifey, look, you'll never find a wifey in Medellin, but there are some ways you can make it work. If you just kind of have to be there because you don't like the other cities in Colombia and you like really want to make it work, we can talk about that. But I'm going to go over obviously, you know, the harsh reality, kind of the story, kind of how Medellin collapsed and what the big problems are and what the alternatives are in Colombia. Because while Medellin is totally fucked and totally screwed, there's potential in other places. We're going to talk about a lot of things, language, culture, the low IQ of the people there, the anti-gringo sentiment. That's going to be one of the biggest ones. Like I said in the beginning, we're just not wanted there. Safety concerns, drugs, robbery, scopolamine, all this different stuff, obviously. The cultural problems that the people have there, which is why you'll probably never connect with them. Expats, cost of living, and better alternatives. So if you guys are wondering, well, shit, I can't go to Medellin. I've been hearing about it, blah, blah, blah. I had plans to go there. It seems so cool, this passport bro dream. So where should I go? I'll talk about other places in Colombia and just other places worldwide that you can go based on who you are and what your particular situation is. So, you know, my opening statements, like I said, Medellin is no longer the paradise it's hyped up to be. Only simps, losers, and just naive first-timers are the still the ones that go there. Passport bros, foreigners, we all get burnt out. Me and all my friends, like I had this group chat. I used to throw these big parties. By the way, the footage you've been seeing on screen, the B-roll we've been showing, that's to do two things, you know, increase watch time, kind of build authority. I'm Casey Redbeard. I lived in Medellin, Colombia for 7 years. I'm fluent in Spanish. I hold multiple visas. Now I live in Brazil. I speak Portuguese fluently. As far as like your tour guide or your concierge to how to successfully be a passport bro and go overseas for actual relationships. Look, I know I run through a bunch of girls. You guys know I'm looking for a wifey. I'll find her one day, but it is kind of fun to just, you know, flex and just show all these girls. Most of the girls you're seeing are from Colombia. I'm sure in the B-roll we'll maybe accidentally throw in like a Brazilian girl or two, but we're going to try to keep it to, you know, the parties that I used to throw in Medellin that I no longer do. So, you know, that's just to keep you entertained. But let me now just emphasize why this honeymoon phase of when you first get to Medellin, because I will say one thing, you know, on the positive side, the rumors about the beauty of the women, it's true. All the rumors are true. I've been to, I'd say, Asunción in Paraguay, and Guadalajara, Mexico would be other cities that could kind of give Medellin a run for its money. In terms of like just the commonality, like the top tier women in Brazil, I think are like the best, but it doesn't really matter. Once you're a 9 or a 10, doesn't mean if you're fucking African or Icelandic, a 10 is a 10 or a 9 is a 9. But in terms of just like common beauty, yes, those rumors are true. They are very feminine. Like I know it's a meme, you know, there's so much good marketing for Medellin, like all the papacito. Yes, they do have that accent. They will call you papacito. Here, I'll play a quick clip of this girl, Isabel, calling me papacito right here. But here in Colombia, the women tell me,
you are very papacito.
all right, that was a reel that got like over 1 million views. So, you know, yeah, Pocahontas, beautiful, my type brown. They also have, you know, white girls. So that part is true. But once that honeymoon phase wears off and you're like, damn, these girls look better than the ones I was used to back home in fucking Nebraska, what you really quickly see is that 80% of these women are, well, more than 80% are extremely low quality and not what you would call wifey material, meaning they're involved in drugs. They snort this pink shit called Tusi, which is, it's such a Colombia invention. It's such a low IQ paisa. Paisa means somebody from Medellin. It's not what in Mexican Spanish, paisa means something else. But in Colombia, paisa just means someone from the state of Antioquia where Medellin is at. And like Tusi could only be invented by paisas. It's literally like ketamine mixed with a little bit of Molly mixed with God knows what, could have a little bit of like a hydrocodone, or what's it called, like opiates, could have a little bit of synthetic, meth, could have a little bit of cocaine, any type of random thing. It's like this cocktail, like this pink shit. So rather than just getting withdrawals and all the damages from one drug, you're like detoxing and like having a hangover from like 5 different drugs. You never know if it's like ketamine heavy or, ecstasy heavier, shit like that. Yes, I fucking tried it, if you're wondering. I think I've done drugs like a handful of times in my life. Don't do drugs, but whatever. I did try it. It's fucking whack. It's not even a party drug. Just puts you in your head. OnlyFans, webcam modeling, sex work. That's the biggest one. That's the biggest one. I'll just say that for emphasis. Every girl in Medellin is now pay for play if they're from there. If you're talking about a girl that's from the coast, which they call costeñas, or girls from Bogota, which they call rolas, or girls from Cali, which they call caleñas, just flexing on you my knowledge. Isn't my Spanish so wonderful? No, anyway, it's just normal Spanish. No, I'm not nothing to be super proud of. Anyway, 7 years I should speak Spanish, right? They're good. You can go for those girls. The girls from and Venezuelans, bro, you want a Venezuelan. You don't know this, you naive poor soul, but I'm going to tell you, you want a Venezuelan. If you're in Colombia and you happen to like match or meet a Venezuelan, some of those girls are doing bad things, just like the paisas with, drugs and robbery. We'll talk about that. But generally speaking, Venezuelans are like the equally good looking, but smarter and better value than their, Colombian paisa counterparts. And again, I'm not really shitting on Colombia as a whole as a country. I'm shitting on Medellin. We'll talk about better cities and better countries to go to at the end. That'll be the payoff. So yeah, like I said, tattoos, trashy lifestyle, constantly asking for money. I mean, it's just not what you would bring home to mom. Like some girl just covered with stupid tattoos. It's always going to be something ugly. Like they're really big on like the Medusa tattoo there. It's like she was like what, like the goddess of ugliness, that like she looked at you and turned you into stone, and like that's what they're putting on their body. And like I said, the sex work and just, it's just okay there. It's seen as like, a fast way, a way to get money, get ahead and stuff like that. So if you're in Medellin, your only real hope is to start using Instagram as a dating app. Bumble and Tinder can get you killed. And, it's a manual process to look for girls and beautiful women, whether they're American, Brazilian, Colombian. They like to use guys for free attention and flakes. So you're going to want to use Instagram, do all the manual work, and find these girls' profiles that are not on the dating apps where they have their reel, where they're like tagged and stuff like that. But it's a lot of work, so you may want to outsource the entire thing, which means time for a shameless plug. Hey guys, back to the video in 10 seconds, I promise. But real quick, if you want a list of all the hottest girls in your area from Instagram, so you can stop using dating apps, which are garbage, and meet hotter, more receptive, less flaky women on Instagram, then go to my Instagram page, which is RedbeardRants1, and DM me the word scraper, and I'll give you more information. All right, back to the video. All right, we're back. I just had a little commercial for myself and my services. We already talked about some of this low IQ stuff, but I'm going to just go. I have obviously I have bullet points here. You can tell I'm reading off. Most foreigners can't speak Spanish, so there's a huge disconnect. I speak Spanish fluently. If you speak a little bit of Spanish, you'll kind of get by. They're coming to the light, and there's like more and more girls that speak English now. I actually went back to Colombia to see some friends and, shoot some content earlier this year, and they're kind of adapting. They're learning a little bit of English now. So much influence of, gringos coming in, but still to this day, unburdened by deep thoughts. That's always kind of like the funny way that I say it. I talk about this a lot of videos, so I'll just, throw out a, few quick examples. Maybe I'll try to, use some ones. You guys already know that the gas truck example. Long story short, this wasn't in Colombia, this was in Colombia. This wasn't in Medellin though, but the people in Medellin are the lowest IQ people in like the world. And this is another part of Colombia, but it can like kind of, show an example. Like a gas truck flipped over and these people started hitting at it and smacking at it, and then the fucking thing, obviously it's a gas truck, blew up and killed a bunch of people. Nowhere in the world would you, like, that's one of those like Colombia only stories. Different things too, like I'll just say a random example. Like I needed a document one time to open up a cell phone plan, and she's like, oh, I need to see like this company of your bank statements that like shows all the income coming in. So I got a bank statement that showed when I took money out, when I put money in, when I paid my thing off. She's like, no, I need just the special statement, the special document that only shows when the money came in. It can't be like when you spend money. I'm like, well, you can see bitch, you can see I got fucking money in my bank account. You can see like when money comes in, when money goes out. She's like, no, I need the special document that just shows like the ingresos, like just when it comes in. So go back to the bank. I'm like, okay, can you give me a wait in line for like another hour and a half to get like this like special document? And they go, that doesn't exist. We don't make like bank statements that only show the money coming in. And it's like, then you're like 3 hours at the mall and you're like, did I just kill three? Did I waste my entire, I didn't go to the gym. I didn't, create my YouTube video. I didn't get my work done because this low IQ society, they're asking me for documents that don't exist. You will constantly be inconvenienced by every little low IQ thing, just kind of always ruining your day and taking forever. This is a big one I want to move into now, which is the anti-gringo sentiment. So there's just really strong cultural hostility towards gringos now. I mean, you got to think, right? Let's say that we're Earthlings. You're an Earthling. You're a human like me. And then these people come from another planet and they all look like Adonis. Let's put a picture of Adonis. They're like just this Greek gods. Let's say they're 7.5 feet tall. They got 1 foot Johnsons. They're all look like they're carved out of wood, and they come from this other planet. They're all charismatic and intelligent. They got, genius IQs. They're rich, but they look just like humans, just better versions of us. Who are all the women gonna want to date? Us as like Earthlings, we're like, no, fuck these guys. They think they just can come here. They're fucking 7'5". They got perfect jawlines. They got, I don't know, whatever. They're extremely handsome, and and then all our Earthling girls, we're losing all our Earthling girls. So obviously, this is my analogy for the Paisa people, people from Medellin. They see these gringos. We're taller, we're better looking, we're higher IQ, we're more masculine, we make more money. Obviously, there's going to be that inferiority complex, right? Obviously, there's going to be an inferiority complex when you see these people coming in. And the culture's always been kind of like isolated in Medellin. They've never really been open to foreigners, always kind of like think that their culture is better despite any evidence to possibly support that. And I talked about this in other video, so make it quick. Groupthink, okay? Groupthink is where in African tribes, they have come up to the conclusion that lip disking, we'll put a photo of this lip disking, is attractive. Now, there's no way a human being, just the way your natural DNA, comes to be and through evolution, you could possibly think a grotesquely stretched out bottom lip is any realm sort of kind of even a little bit somewhat attractive. You have to be brainwashed. You have to be under a strong sense of groupthink from the chieftain to make you think that a grotesquely stretched out bottom lip, as it is with Colombia. You have to be under some degree of groupthink where you could think some feminine, tattooed, low IQ, brokey is a better option than a foreigner. And I will say one other thing, though, in their defense, Medellin does tend to attract like the worst of the worst and the best of the best expats. So they're probably seeing more of like the worst of the worst. And I get that. We'll talk into that. You're not going to have generally, you're going to get one extreme or the other. You're going to get this super blue-pilled, effeminate, what's the word? Like, I don't know, just like snarky, rude, arrogant, entitled, kind of like expat, like the typical, well, I'll save that for the later. But anyway, I even saw this video where this girl's like, she's like, ay, aquí los extranjeros en las discotecas. She's like complaining about gringos in the clubs. And like, yeah. And she's like, you can always tell that they're foreigners because they're always white, they're super tall, and they're throwing a lot of money. And I see these other Colombian girls going for that. I'm like, oh, girl, like, why would you go for that? Oh, I don't know, maybe because they're super tall, super rich, and white. And a white, European standard of beauty, you may agree, disagree. A lot of people, I mean, I don't like white girls, but let's be in advertising and stuff, and most people worldwide agree, I don't, that white girls and white people are more attractive. That's not my point of view. I like morenas, and this B-roll of me with all the girls you've been seeing, you've probably seen me with a lot more morenas than you have with any other type of girl. But I'm just saying, like, white, tall, and rich, why would anybody want that? Oh, go figure. All right, now let's talk about safety. Okay, so we've talked about a couple things, but let's talk about safety. This is the biggest one. The U.S. Embassy always, triggers warnings about this. I think the latest stat is that 1 in 16 male tourists who go to Medellin are drugged or robbed or both. At this point, it's anywhere from like 5 to 8 foreigners wind up, unalived due to, scopolamine and druggings. I think now they put in these little drops of clonazepam, however you pronounce it, which is, it's kind of like Xanax. It's not exactly Xanax, but it's in the same family, and it just kind of makes you go to sleep. It's almost like Ambien, but similar, but not quite the same thing. And you mix that with alcohol, it's very easy to, be not living anymore if that happens to you. And if 5 to 8 die per month, probably the overwhelming majority survive it. It's probably like 99+ percentage of them survive their drugging ordeal. Shout out to a channel called Obiland. Let's put some footage, like, you know, a quick little B-roll of some Obiland stuff. One of their latest videos. Mo, I'll tell you what to put. Mo is my video editor. Great channel. I love their stuff. And this guy just has unlimited content. So it's super entertaining. Like, I really recommend after this, I'll put a link to the Obiland channel, but he does documentaries of like people, foreigners who just basically get drugged and robbed. And they go on this all out, like it's like Taken, like Liam Neeson. Like, what does he say in the movie? Like, I will find you. And I don't know, what does he say in the movie? But anyway, you know, like the Liam Neeson, like Taken. And they go on this like vindictive, like hero's arc to like find the person that drugged them and robbed them. There's one of this guy even like grabs this woman on the street and like holds her till the police come. And they actually did bring her to justice. The fact that this guy can just keep coming up with, because most people who get drugged and robbed don't want to put their face on, like, he must have unlimited cases of people being drugged and robbed for this guy to consistently make content, concerning the fact that he has to like find these people in the first place through what, like word of mouth. They don't like, you can't use like Facebook ads, like I want to put a Facebook ad and target somebody who is drugged. Second of all, overwhelming majority are not going to be like, want to like put their story on the internet for all to see. And something even crazy now is they're playing the long game now. So what that means is like, they used to be like, hey, do you want to come over and get drunk and have sex right away? I'll come over to your place. And it's just like, do you live alone first? And then it's kind of like, okay, I wasn't born yesterday type shit. But now they're even like, you know, meeting you in a public place, ending the date with just a kiss, nothing else. You know, talking about like, hey, you know, in order for this to continue, you know, you have to meet my family. So you're down to meet my family. And then on the third or fourth date, they'll drug you and rob you. Okay, cool. So we talked about drug and safety. Quick tidbit, you know, my buddy who's actually sitting on the table right there, you can't see him, went on a date with a chick from Tinder here in Brazil, where I'm currently living now. And it never even occurred to me to give him the talk, like, hey man, you know, you're going to go out there and, you know, just be careful. Don't drink with this girl. Like, cause it was Brazil. And Rio can be a little bit iffy. So do be a little bit careful in Rio, but any other city in Brazil, like, it's just unheard of. And of course, like, he survived. He's there in one piece. He didn't get, you know, drugged and robbed. All right. Cultural problems, fast money mentality. So the legacy of Pablo Escobar and the glorification of like fast money, you know, ruined their culture. Smuggling, scamming, prostitution, anything that's quick money to them, to like the paisa mentality. This is why it's like very hard for us as foreigners to maybe, you know, connect with them. Is it's kind of like, well, listen, you know, going to, you know, school and getting a degree or building a business and like going through the ups and downs and, oh, you made a business. Did it work? Did it fail? Did it do this and that? That's stupid because that's slow. Whereas like, you know, say you're a woman, where I'm a woman, I could just sell my vagina and make quick money like that. Or I'm a guy, I could just, you know, go out and like, you know, take care of people or, you know, smuggle drugs, like, cause that's fast. See, like the way you do it, the money, it arrives slowly, but the way I do it, the money arrives quickly. Did you get that? But they don't understand like morality or anything like that. And it's just very much a culture of like, who can get one over on someone else, who can manipulate and, you know, deceive people. They have an expression called dar papaya, which it means give papaya, which is like a fruit, I guess. But in so many words, it means like, it's like victim shaming. Like if you were able to be tricked or scammed, you deserve it because you were stupid enough to have somebody build up trust with you and then stab you in the back. Like how dare you? Living costs and social isolation. So Medellin is no longer cheap. It can be 3 to 4K to get a nice apartment out there. And this is probably not, I'm going to say probably, this is partially, I was going to say, why they dislike foreigners so much there. Look, in their defense, like I said, some of the worst come there, dirty sexpats, you know, sex tourists, but gentrification. So what gentrification means, I said that really quickly. Gentrification means, it can mean things in a few different contexts, but at least in this context, it means that the influx of foreigners are raising the rental prices there. So people in Medellin can't really afford to even live in their own cities because gringos are pricing them out. We're willing to pay a lot more because we earn money in dollars. Aside from being taller and more handsome and more masculine and more intelligent, we got more money and we'll pay higher rent on top of that. So they pretty much stand no chance. You'll never make local friends there. They're very cliquey. Like, you know, they hang around little cliques. They don't like foreigners. They're very dismissive of foreigners. And the wealthy, educated, English-speaking ones that you would potentially want to be friends with the most, like, you know, the very few slice of educated English-speaking ones, they hate gringos the most. I had one Colombian friend there. He ended up stealing money out of my wallet. He would do like little tasks for me around the house. I would have him, I don't know, like put up some shelves, like build some shelves so I could like put things and store things on the shelves. And then I just found out one day, in so many ways, I damn near caught him like red-handed, stealing, money from me. So let's talk about the better alternatives now. If you talk about all the negatives, the low IQ, the fact that these women, tattoos, trashy, into sex work, they provide really nothing else. They're just very, very whiny. I said this in another video too. They're kind of like these dolls where you pull a string and they're like, "Ay, qué pecado, ay, qué chimba, ay, mi papacito, qué más pues, mi amor." They just kind of like, you pull the string and like 4 or 5 different phrases come out. They're all brainwashed with that quick money mentality and, very, I think I touched on this too much, very bad potential of like making friends there with other expats too, because it generally seems to attract the worst sort. Again, these are the guys that, they're fat, they're pathetic. Like Brazil, we're not going to make this whole video about Brazil, but quick side tangent about Brazil. It's not an easy dating market here. I do well because I'm the infamous Casey Redbeard, and as you saw in the commercial I put in, I literally have a virtual assistant whose livelihood and ability to feed his children depends on me getting dates. He has to book dates for me for him to be able to survive in this cold capitalistic reality of a society that we're in. So I'm going to do well here in Brazil. And it's not like it's a difficult dating market, and each city in Brazil is different, but these guys in Colombia, they're all paying for it, and they're all very snarky and stuck up, and they're all claiming that they don't, when you all obviously know that they do, just by the sheer fact that they have an attractive woman there, despite being a fat, uncalibrated, low social skills having piece of shit. If they have a beautiful girl, obviously that's how you know that money is being involved. So let's talk about better alternatives within Colombia, where you can find better women, better foreigners that, are cities that are naturally attract, better foreigners, the ones you can be friends with, less druggings, less robbings, just overall better people. So Bucaramanga is, gosh, is it even in Antioquia? I don't even know this, but it's kind of like, they look like paisas. They even have like a paisa. Again, paisa means Medellin, Antioquia. They look like them, but they're more conservative. They didn't have like the drug cartel, Pablo Escobar, like, let's all scam and steal and get tattoos and do drugs and, sell our bodies, mistresses, prostitution. They didn't like get all that. They were like far enough removed from it. So Bucaramanga could be alternative, but I think, it's probably, going down as well. Barranquilla. So Barranquilla is going to be a hell in terms of low IQ, undeveloped, shit third world city, but it's gonna be good for dating. So maybe if you want to live in Medellin still, even despite all this, like the quality of life, in a way, Medellin could have a good quality of life. It's terrible for dating and the locals all hate you, but you can kind of live like a king. You can kind of like build a bubble, build like a force field around you, find like the few cool expats, go to really, really nice restaurants. And like a lot of guys, let's be honest, like you're going to want to have like, little sugar babies and, stuff like that. You could have your little sugar babies, you could have your friends, but if on the side you want to meet girls with, good values that are more than just like short-term fun, you can consider flying girls in from Barranquilla perhaps, or just going there for a short period of time, or just trying to make it work. I've never been there myself, but everybody says the same thing. It's just like this depressing, awful city. There's nothing to do. There's no nice places to go to. We do these like, I'll put some client photos, like I'll put a mixture of like myself and various client photos. And it's going to be these like these luxurious photo shoots that we plan for clients to give them the high status social media. Because if you want like the online dating virtual assistant, the dating automation that I'm doing, that I talked about in here, you'd have to look, successful and rich and all this stuff. I call it high status. And there's just like probably 2 venues we could send you to in Barranquilla. There's a good amount in Medellin. Go to my Instagram, which is RedbeardRants1, and message me the word photo shoot, and I'll send you a video about photo shoots, stuff like that. We can actually plan one for you in Medellin. But back to Barranquilla, really hot women, better values, not nearly as corrupted. But again, nowhere in Colombia. I mean, I think everywhere is going to be better in terms of IQ than Colombia, but they're not known for their genius IQs, let's say that. I heard that the girls in Santa Marta are, really good values, but like beauty is not that common there. So maybe scratch that off the list. Ibagué. One of my friends is probably going to get mad at me for giving away Ibagué, Colombia. Again, not sure. I think it's not too far from Medellin, or maybe it's near Cali. I don't know. But, another small, boring town with hot girls. You can check that out. And as far as like other places, if you don't want to learn Spanish and you like Asian chicks, Philippines, is kind of a no-brainer. Thailand, I haven't been there anytime recently. I heard that Thailand's getting a little bit more, like the top girls are getting a little bit more of that westernized, very more entitled thing, but I think you can still go there and probably clean up. And of course, my favorite is Brazil. Again, I'm not going to turn this into a Brazil video, but some of my favorite cities in Brazil are Manaus, Recife, Fortaleza, and Rio's its own vibe. Big pay-for-play problem in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is how you would say it in Portuguese, or Rio de Janeiro as you would pronounce it. And, you know, not the easiest dating market, but you know, Colombia, again, this video is about Colombia. It's about Medellin. Still has potential, but just don't go there. So, you know, my closing notes, Medellin, don't be fooled. The passport dream is over. It's actually been over for a long time, unfortunately. Other cities are, you know, going to be the places you want to go to. And overall, just realize that you have more options than Medellin. If you get nothing else from this video, just understand, you know, it is what it is. It is a more developed city. You will be able to, it's kind of like training wheels for a passport, bro. You'll be able to slide in and you'll see expats and, you know, you'll be able to, you know, speak English and make, you know, a friend circle, you know, have a home away from home pretty easily, pretty instantly. You'll be able to, you know, they have this thing called Rappi. You'll be able to get food delivery in nice restaurants. And like, between, you know, because so many foreigners have come there for so long to fuck the women, it's brought, you know, higher IQ ideas, higher IQ businesses. A lot of like the best businesses and restaurants are actually run by foreigners there. You know, people are starting to learn English, but understand that like for wifey or any type of long-term relationship, it's going to get on your nerves. I got to say that. Medellin, Colombia will just get on, it'll grind your gears with the low IQ, the inconveniences, all the trashiness of the culture and the women there. So that's my take on Medellin, Colombia. I hope maybe I've saved somebody's life by putting out this video for you guys. And if you want to know about that dating automation stuff, again, you go to my Instagram, which is RedbeardRants1, and just message me that word automation. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.